Welcome back to Blender Frenzy and Happy New Year. A little bit late. It's already a month into 2021, and I truly hope that this year will be much better than last year. So this video is actually a continuation of the old man video I did before, how to make yourself look old. This is what we have so far from that video. We started with motion tracking here and tracked the points on our face, and then brought in our tracking markers here to follow our face, and then we hooked these tracking markers onto our face, which is just a plane here, just a mesh, if I can navigate well enough here. But this is what we have there. You can see the mouth moving right there with our footage, and you can see like that there. And then, of course, then we painted on our old man face. So it looks something like that. So if you want to know how to do any of that, go watch the previous video. But in this video, we are going to learn how to change the color of our hair so that it matches the beard on the face. And we're going to start by creating a simple mask. So to do that, what I'm going to do is come over here. Now I could go to VFX and masking, but I'm actually going to go to video editing and rendering. You can double click in here. I'm just going to say masking here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I like this setup initially better because we have our timeline down here. And then I'm just going to pull up another area here. And this area is going to be our compositor. And then I'm going to split this down the middle. And this over here is going to be our movie clip editor, which I'm going to change tracking to mask. And we can also hide that and that one. And then this one I'm going to change to the image editor, and you'll see why I'm doing this in just a second. So here what we're going to do is click Use Nodes here in our compositor, and now you can see we have a renders layer and a composite layer node. So I'm going to click the render layer node and hit X to delete, Shift A to add in an input image. Okay, this is what we're going to use to import our image sequence. So open up, navigate to your image sequence from your footage. There we go. And then instead of plugging this into the composite right now, I'm going to Control Shift and click on it, and it will add a viewer node. For that to work, you have to actually have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. So just go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, search for Node, and enable Node Wrangler. Otherwise, you can actually just go to Shift A, Output, and Viewer Node, and that brings in the same thing. So now that we have this connected to the viewer node, I can do one of two things. I can either click backdrop here, and then you have your backdrop. But I don't like this because it's a little bit wonky to try to use. V is to zoom out, Alt V is to zoom in, and then Alt middle click is to move that, which is fine, but it's a little bit of a hassle. So instead, I just keep this off and come up here and then change this to viewer node. And now I can just do my regular middle click to drag and scroll button to scroll in and out. And that's just a lot easier. And so whatever goes into here, we will see right here. Okay, so this is our masking area, which we actually should already have our footage loaded in if you followed along with the old man face up to now. If not, just go ahead and open up footage at the location of wherever it is, and then you should have something like this. Now, of course, I already have the tracking markers here from the last video. I don't need them right now, so I'm just going to go to tracking and then H to hide them. So I'm going to add in a simple mask just to show you what it does. This is a really quick crash course on what a mask is. So we're going to go to add circle, and then that should add it down here in the corner or wherever the 2D cursor is. You can press G to grab, and I'm going to put that right over the eye just to demonstrate this here. And then I'm going to add in a mask over here, input mask, and then from this little drop down, choose our mask. Now you can see that says mask because over here, if we scroll over here, we can see that. So we're just going to name this eye. You can see it changes it down here. And then if I Control Shift click here, you can see this mask in the viewer node. Now, most of you are probably familiar with what a mask is, but if you're not, basically the white area is visible and the black area is invisible. And if we scroll out over here, we can see the same thing. If we go over to Mask Display, click Overlay, you can see that we have our mask circle over here lined up perfectly the same location in each window here. If I select my mask over here and grab and move it, you can see it moves it over there. So I'm going to right click to cancel that. Now there are two ways to invert this mask. If I press N to open up my panel over here, go to mask and then opacity, I can click this and it just flips it so that the circle is black and everything else is white. I can also come over here and add in a color invert node and put it right there, and it does the exact same thing. It won't do it over here because we haven't changed any settings over here, but it does it in the compositor here, and then we can actually M to mute that or hide it, temporarily disable this invert node, and we can go back and forth that way. I don't want that here now. I'm just gonna Control X to delete that. So let's combine this mask with our image now. So if I plug in our image here to our viewer node, and then I add in a color alpha over like this. With an alpha over node, the bottom node is on the top layer in our viewer preview. It's kind of backwards. So if it's like the camera's down here looking up. So we have this white over our image, which is on the bottom here. So if we just switch this to the bottom, we can see it's on the top layer in our viewport. So to use our mask with this, we just drag our mask into the factor, and the factor always affects the bottom node of the alpha over. So you can see that the only part of this image that is being showed is where the eye mask is. So again, if we move that, you can see the other parts of the face and other parts of the image that are being revealed. Another cool feature with these masks is if you select it and come over to Mask, go down to Transform and then Scale Feather, the shortcut is Alt-S, and then drag your mouse, you can see that it scales that feather on the edge there. And you can see the result that it's having here. And I can actually come in and just select the feather and click and drag that for each point. Each point will have its own feather, or you can move, of course, the main point on the mask. So I'm just going to undo all that. To clear this feather weight, you can also go to Mask and then Clear Feather Weight. And it doesn't look like that's updated here, so we can just kind of do something like that, and it will update. And we can also come over here and change the color of the background. You can see, like that. But of course, the real power of these masks is to use an altered image over the original image. And what I mean by that is if we plug in the same image into the background, and then we bring in a converter, RGB to BW, which is color to black and white. Now you can see the bottom connection here, which is the top layer, is black and white, of course using our eye mask as the factor. And if we move that around, you can see anywhere that circle is, that's where the black and white image is going to be. So if you haven't guessed it already, we are going to put this black and white mask over the hair. So let's go and mask display, uncheck overlay so that we can see our image here. And I'm just going to manipulate our mask with the curve points here, like this, until I have something that I like. I'm just doing it really simple right now, just a rough mask. Something like that. And then we can select everything and then Alt-S to scale that feather out. Something like that. And we can maybe tighten it up here a little bit. And you can start to see what that is going to look like. Now, of course, we can actually bring in some more adjustments here. So we do color balance, we'll bring that in here. Whoops, wrong one. Let's Alt grab that and then move that here. Yeah, now we can maybe make a little bit more of a yellowish kind of tint to it, because if you notice, my old man beard here has got a little bit of like yellowish type of color to it. So yeah, something like that. Of course, we can make it brighter or darker, like that. And of course, it doesn't even need to be that. If you're not looking to change your hair white, you can maybe make it a purple color. Something more like this. So this is just a very rough demonstration of how you can use a mask to change your hair color. Obviously, there's a lot more work we need to do, and the next step is to fix the problem that you see that we're having on the edges here. You can see that the mask is bleeding over the hair onto the background behind it, and obviously that's not what we want. So in the next video, what we're going to do is not just create a mask, but we'll create a sort of a keying mat so that it follows the contours of each individual hair instead of just one big block of mask curve. So that's what we're going to do next. Stay tuned and you'll see me over there.